It was around 2 a.m. when I heard the faint knock on my door. I live in a quiet suburban neighborhood, the kind where nothing exciting ever happens after dark. Groggy from sleep, I stumbled out of bed, thinking it might be a wrong address or maybe an animal scratching around. But when I peeked through the peephole, there she was, Mrs. Elena Thompson, my elderly neighbor from across the street. She looked pale under the porch light, her eyes red from crying, clutching a small wooden box like it was the most precious thing in the world. Elena had been widowed just a few months ago. Her husband, Mr. Robert Thompson, was a kind old man who'd wave at me every morning while watering his roses. We'd chat about the weather or local news, nothing deep, but he always seemed like he had stories to tell. Robert passed away suddenly from a heart attack, and since then, Elena kept to herself, rarely leaving her house. So seeing her at my door in the middle of the night, that sent a chill down my spine. What could be so urgent? I opened the door cautiously. "Mrs. Thompson, is everything okay?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. She didn't say much at first, just handed me the box with trembling hands. "Robert left this for you," she said, her voice cracking. "He made me promise to give it to you if he couldn't." My heart raced. Why me? We weren't close friends or family. I was just the guy next door who helped fix her fence once or twice. Inside the box was a collection of odd items, an old pocket watch, a faded photograph of a young couple, a sealed envelope with my name on it, and a small key. As I stared at them, Elena whispered, "He said you'd know what to do." But I didn't, not yet. That night changed everything for me, pulling me into a mystery I never expected. What secrets was Robert hiding, and why involve a simple neighbor like me? Stick around, because this story gets wilder from here. As I sat there in my living room, the box open on my coffee table, I couldn't shake the feeling that this was no ordinary inheritance. Robert had always been a bit of an enigma. He was a retired engineer, or so he told everyone, but there were rumors in the neighborhood about his past, whispers of him being involved in something secretive during the war. I'd dismissed them as gossip, but now, holding that envelope, I wondered if there was truth to it. Let me back up a bit and tell you how I ended up in this neighborhood. I'm Alex, a 35-year-old graphic designer who moved here 5 years ago after a messy divorce. I wanted a fresh start, away from the city hustle. This place seemed perfect. Tree-lined streets, friendly folks, and that small-town vibe. Elena and Robert were among the first to welcome me. They'd bring over homemade pies or invite me to barbecues. Robert, in particular, had this wise, grandfatherly aura. We'd talk about history, books, even puzzles. He loved riddles. But after his death, things got quiet. Elena withdrew, and I respected her space, only waving from afar. That knock shattered the peace. When she left, I opened the envelope. Inside was a letter in Robert's neat handwriting. "Dear Alex, if you're reading this, I'm gone, but there's something I need you to finish for me. The watch isn't just a timepiece, it's a clue. Follow it and you'll understand why I chose you." My mind spun. A clue? To what? I examined the watch. It was antique, engraved with strange symbols that looked like coordinates or maybe a code. The photo showed a young Robert with a woman who wasn't Elena, his first wife, perhaps? And the key? It didn't fit any lock in my house. I spent the rest of the night pacing, piecing together fragments of conversations I'd had with him. He once mentioned a hidden legacy jokingly, but now it felt real. This experience made me realize how little we know about the people around us. Neighbors pass by every day, but their lives hold untold stories. That's why I started this channel, Curious Neighbor, to explore those everyday mysteries, the weird happenings in ordinary lives. If you're watching this, you're probably like me, curious about the unknown right next door. Hey, before we dive deeper into what happened next, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below. What city are you watching this video from? Is it a big metropolis like New York or a cozy town like mine? Sharing that helps build our community of curious minds. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next twist in stories like this. Your support means the world. Let's uncover more secrets together. Now, back to that fateful night. As dawn broke, I decided I couldn't ignore this. I brewed some coffee and started researching. The watch's engraving led me to an old map app on my phone. Those symbols were latitude and longitude. They pointed to a spot in the nearby woods, about a mile from our neighborhood. Robert used to hike there. He'd mentioned it once. Was this a treasure hunt? I grabbed my jacket and headed out, the box tucked under my arm. The woods were misty in the early morning light, birds chirping like nothing was amiss. Following the coordinates, I found an old oak tree with a hollow at its base. My heart pounded as I knelt down. Sure enough, the key fit into a small lockbox buried there. Inside, more clues, a journal filled with Robert's entries from decades ago.
Reading it, I learned Robert wasn't just an engineer. During World War II, he was a codebreaker for the Allies, working on secret messages. After the war, he settled down, but he never stopped his passion for puzzles. The journal detailed a final riddle he'd created, inspired by his life's work. It seemed he'd chosen me because I once solved the crossword he threw my way, impressing me with my quick thinking. But why now, and why involve Elena? The entries hinted at a family secret. Robert had a child from his first marriage, one he'd lost contact with years ago. The box was meant to lead someone, me, to reunite them. It felt overwhelming. Was I up for this? As I dug deeper, the story unfolded like a novel. The photo was of Robert and his first wife, Anna, in the 1950s. They had a son, but after Anna's death, the boy was adopted out. Robert remarried Elena later, but he never forgot. In his final years, he tracked the son down but was too ill to reach out. Instead, he crafted this puzzle, trusting a curious neighbor like me to complete it. I spent days following leads from the journal. One entry mentioned a safety deposit box in a bank downtown. Using clues from the watch, it had a hidden compartment with a code. I accessed it. Inside, documents confirming the son's identity, now a man named David, living in a city 2 states away. Contacting David was nerve-wracking. I explained everything over the phone, sharing scans of the journal. He was shocked but grateful. Turns out he'd wondered about his birth father his whole life. We arranged a meeting and Elena joined us. It was emotional. Tears, hugs, stories shared. Robert's legacy wasn't money or fame, it was connection. This whole adventure taught me about forgiveness, secrets, and the power of reaching out. Neighbors aren't just faces, their lives intertwined. If you've got a similar story, a mysterious package, or unexpected visitor, share it in the comments. Reflecting on it all, I realized Robert saw potential in me. Maybe because I'm single with time on my hands, or perhaps he sensed my own loneliness post-divorce. Whatever the reason, it pulled me out of my routine. Now I look at my neighbors differently, wondering what tales they hold. The reunion with David was beautiful. We met at a park near Elena's house. David brought photos of his family, and Elena shared memories of Robert's later years. It felt like closing a chapter, but opening new ones. David even visited Robert's grave, laying flowers and whispering thanks. Since then, Elena and I have grown closer. She comes over for tea, and we've started a little garden in Robert's honor. Roses, of course. David's planning to visit more, bridging the gap Robert couldn't. This story isn't just about a box, it's about legacy, mystery, and human bonds. In our busy world, we often overlook the people next door, but sometimes a midnight knock reveals wonders. If this tale intrigued you, imagine what else is out there. That's why Curious Neighbor exists, to share these real-life enigmas. Subscribe now, like this video, and comment your city below. Let's connect globally. But wait, there's more to unpack. Let's think about the psychological side. Why do people like Robert create such elaborate puzzles? Experts say it's a way to cope with mortality, ensuring their essence lives on. Robert's journal entries showed regret over lost time with his son, so this was his redemption. From a practical angle, if you ever receive something similar, document everything. Photos, notes, it helps piece things together. I used my phone's GPS for the woods trek and online archives for family history. Historically, codebreakers like Robert were unsung heroes. Think Alan Turing, but on a smaller scale. Robert's notes referenced Enigma machines, hinting at his inspirations. Personally, this boosted my confidence. Solving riddles, not my daily gig, but it felt empowering. Maybe you have a hidden talent too. Try a puzzle app sometime. Elena shared how Robert planned this for years, tweaking clues. He chose me after our chats, seeing my curiosity. Flattering, right? The watch, by the way, was a family heirloom from Robert's grandfather, a watchmaker. It ticked perfectly, symbolizing time's passage. David's reaction? Overwhelmed. He has kids now, and they're excited about their secret grandpa. Plans for a family tree project ensued. This event rippled outward. Neighbors heard whispers and started sharing their own stories. A lost letter here, a forgotten heirloom there. Our street feels more connected. If you're inspired, start small. Say hi to your neighbor. Who knows what might unfold? Curious Neighbor is all about that spark. More stories coming. Mysterious noises, hidden attics, you name it. Subscribe and join the adventure. Let's circle back to that night. The box's wood was smooth, carved with felt patterns matching the watch. Artisan work, perhaps Robert's hobby. Inside the envelope, besides the letter, was a poem Robert wrote. In shadows deep, where secrets sleep, a neighbor's light will guide the keep. Poetic, huh? The key was brass, ornate, fitting the lockbox perfectly, buried shallow as if waiting. Journal pages yellowed with age, ink fading but legible. Entries from 1940s onward, mixing war tales with personal reflections. One entry, met Alex today, sharp mind, he'll do. Chilling to read. Bank visit was straightforward once decoded. Staff remembered Robert fondly. David's call, is this real? Yes, and healing. Elena's relief, Robert can rest now. My takeaway, life's full of surprises. Embrace them. Thanks for watching. Comment your city, subscribe, and stay curious. Peace out.